وشفيعنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. نوعنا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا مشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا مشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا مشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Amin. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Last week we were speaking about the prayer timings, right? And we have finished till Subuh, correct? I reached up to Subuh. So with Maghrib we have finished with the red hue in the sky, right? That is the when the red hue sets, the reddish color in the sky sets, that is the end of Maghrib, the beginning of Isha. And if Isha, the best time to pray is before the white hue actually sets. There's like a whiteness in the sky. And it's basically how you explain this whiteness. It is that the night sky is not so dark. If you actually notice through the night, the sky actually gets darker and darker. Right? So in the middle of the night or past 1 a.m., you will find that the sky is pitch dark. Right? But right at the Isha time, you will see it's still bluish. It's still like this kind of blue. Right? So not black blue, but it's like a bit of a lighter blue. Right? It's called the white hue. There's a white hue in the sky. Like whatever that means, whatever that means. But there is a whiteness. There's a whitishness about the blue in the sky. That is when there's the best time to perform Isha. Right? And then when that white hue goes away, that is still permissible to perform Isha. Right? Waqtul Jawaz or Ikhtiyari. Right? It is a permissible time to perform your Isha. And then Subuh. Alright, so I was at Subuh kan that time. Naam. So for Subuh, right? For Subuh, there is okay. So it is offensive. Let me just wear my. Okay, so the time for Subuh has 4 periods. Okay, the meaning of dawn and true dawn. Okay, so a bit backwards. For Isha prayer, we're on page 56. Page 56. For Isha prayer, there are 3 periods. The preferred period, which is at the start of the time. There's always the best period, the fadilah, waqtul fadilah, at the beginning of the time that basically takes the amount of time it takes from azan to the performance of the prayer. It is also said that if a person is engaged in acts of worship up till the point whereby they pray, they still gain the virtue of the time of fadilah. Right? So for example, if someone's doing their wirid within Maghrib and Isha, right, and they want to do half a juz, or entire juz in Maghrib and Isha, so because of that, they pray maybe half an hour into Isha. Because they finish their ratib, they do their wirid, they do their Quran, they do a lot of things. They do their salat awabin, 6 rakats. I mean, this is, for me, it's not enough time. Between Maghrib and Isha. Especially if you want to buka puasa and whatever. By the time you're done with all of that, it's really good. It's probably 9 o'clock already. Right? So, and you pray Isha, it's counted as fadilah. It's counted, right, as fadilah because the entire time you were in worship. Right, so and in Darul Zahra, that's how we will do it, because after Isha the girls will disperse. Right, so usually they will do all the wirid, even the wirid after Isha will be done before Isha. They'll do all the wirid and then pray Isha, then disperse. It's just easier than to have them stop for Isha and then start again the wirid. But they do it all in one go. Right, and then after Isha they will start again. And after Isha they will just disperse and go on with their own revisions and their own studies. Right, in the sense it's easier lah. And for us also same thing, like since you already sit at your sujada, you might as well do everything. And then when you get up and you pray Isha, you're kind of done for the night. You pray Isha, pray your sunat Isha, pray your witir, and then you're kind of done for the night, and you can go on and do whatever you need to do for the rest of the night, or sleep, which is a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to basically not engage in any activity after Isha that is of the dunya. It's 15. Okay. That one is apa? Alarm to take attendance. Sorry. Can't forget. Can't forget. Can you write your name for attendance? Yeah, same thing also. Right. So you will still get the waqtul fadilah. Right. Because you're still engaged in worship. The whole point is that you did not delay your worship because you were doing something else. but you're still engaged in worship. After Isha, yes, to engage in forms of worship. Right? And lesson is a form of worship. Lesson is in fact one of the best forms of worship. I'm just checking if my tudung is flying. Okay, they're moving away again. Okay, alhamdulillah. I hope they change the channel. Or they're using the mic. Okay, can. Okay. That's my. I keep putting my arm ready. Okay. Okay, alhamdulillah. I keep putting my hair into my tudung. It keeps coming out. But my tudung is long now. My very uncomfortable right now. It keeps, yeah. It's like I'm very conscious that if it's picking out. Okay. Okay lah. Okay lah. Okay, Bismillah. Okay, naam, right? So the waqt fadilah, right, is as long as you engage in worship until the point of the prayer. Okay, then you have the ikhtiyar period, which is the first third of the night, whereby the whiteness of the night is still there, right? And then you have the jawaz period, which is a permissible period. Right, so ikhtiyar is by choice, and in fact, it is still a favorite period. Right, so that is usually first third of the night. First third of the night usually ends around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's the first third of the night, right? So, and you should be praying Isha by 10 or 11. You should, right? If once in a while you pray later at 12 midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it's permissible, but it should not be a habit. Okay, so you should pray your Isha first, and it's very makruh to sleep first and then pray Isha. Right? Very makruh, and I don't know if you all sense it, that if you were to fall asleep before praying Isha, your sleep will not be restful. And there is a hadith about Rasulullah said there is no sleep before Isha. Meaning, and there are many meanings to this hadith, but basically meaning that it's makruh to sleep before Isha. The other meaning is that you are not able to sleep. Your mind is disturbed because you have not performed Isha. And that is, inshallah, if you don't feel that, then there's a big problem. You don't feel the guilt of all the disturbances. Say, for me, if I fall asleep after Maghrib, before Isha, I will have the weirdest dreams and very, very disturbed. Then keep waking up and then keep telling yourself, go pray Isha, Like, cannot sleep until you pray Isha. Then your body can rest. Because the rest of the body is the rest of the soul. And the soul cannot rest for as long as Isha is on your neck. And you have not prayed Isha. So the Jawaz period is until the appearance of the true dawn. Meaning of a true dawn is a dawn when the light is spread across the horizon. There is a false dawn that I showed you all last year on the video. Kan? There's a false dawn. It's very beautiful, the false dawn. Right? It's called the lying, the one that lies, the lying dawn. Right? But it's a false dawn lah. Right? But it's a celestial phenomena. Right? That happens because of the Milky Way. Right? So it actually brings light to the night sky. Right? And then it goes away, it diminishes. Right? So the light it goes up the horizon, and then it will diminish. And that is the false dawn. That usually was taken by the Muslims in the past to be the time whereby you imsak. If you're fasting, when they see the false dawn, they will stop already, because the false dawn usually happens about 10 minutes, right, before the true dawn. So if you're wondering that how the people in the past would know when to stop. I mean, you would think, right, how would they know? Like for us, we look at our clock, our watch. You see, subuh is 5:57. That means from until 5:43, I can eat. 5:42, I can eat. If I want to puasa lah. You calculate in that way. But in the past, how do they even know when to stop? Right? If they, mashallah, they actually do it by the false dawn, or they read the stars. We all read what stars. But they all can read the stars. Right? So they know that from the sign of the stars that dawn is about to appear. Right? So otherwise, like, how would people know, right? You begin eating and then the dawn appears, inshallah. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Okay, so during the false dawn, right, that is when it is makruh, right, to perform, to delay the Isha to the false dawn. As we said, it's makruh because you have pushed the Isha right to the very end. Right, so it becomes haram, right, if you are not able to have the entire of the 4 rakats of Isha within the timing of Isha. And timing of Isha is all the way up till the true dawn. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Okay, so the meaning of true dawn is that the light spreads across the horizon, right? The first light of the sun, not the appearance of the disk of the sun, of course not, right? That is called the rising of the sun, right? But the first light of the sun, right? When you see the white light separate from the blackness of the night, that is the coming up of dawn. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Now, there is in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and eat and drink when you're fasting, eat and drink until the white thread is distinguished from the black thread of the night, of the sky. And there was one Sahabi in the Rasulullah, whereby when he read the ayat, he held a white thread in his hands and he held a black thread in his hands, and he looked at the two threads until he could tell the white from the black. Means enough light came from the sky, and he could tell the white from the black thread. And then when someone heard about it, someone laughed. That's not what it means. It means the thread on the sky, the horizon, that one. Not your thread, you hold your thread. Mashallah. That was he understood in that way. But that was why he held the white and the black. Let's see, when can I tell white from black? When I can tell white? Because of the light. Like a good idea also. Like when you can tell white from black, from the light of the sun. But by then the dawn the dawn has come already. Mashallah. Mashallah. That is a true dawn, and the light is spread across the horizon. And the difference between the true dawn and the false dawn is that the true dawn, the light increases. As time passes, the light increases. The false dawn will diminish. Alright? And the true dawn is horizontal, while the false dawn is vertical. Alright? That is the biggest difference. Time for subuh has 4 periods. Again, you have the fadilah as the beginning for subuh. You have the ikhtiyar, that is until the time of brightness of the morning. So brightness of the morning is the sky has turned bright, but the sun has not appeared. So it's ikhtiyar. So like if you were to pray subuh around 6:45 right now, because right now sunrise is 7:15. So about 6:45, the sky is bright. If you look out, it's quite bright, and you can the kids go to school. So it is you can walk around. It's not dark. It's still bright, but it's still subuh. Because sunrise is 7:15 now. I'm very late. 7:15 sunrise. Mashallah. 7:60 is 6:30. 6:30 is still dark. It's still dark. It's still half an hour from the azan of subuh. 6:45 suddenly it becomes bright. So until around 6:45, around there is your ikhtiyar period. For where until the sky becomes bright. And then when the sky is bright until the redness of the sun appears, that is jawaz. That is permissible to pray. So if someone prays subuh at 7 o'clock, it sounds it's very wrong to actually pray subuh at 7 o'clock in the morning. So late, mashallah. It's 1 hour after azan. Mashallah, and then you pray subuh. But if someone does so, it's valid. Because they are 15 minutes before the rising of the sun. It is counted. Even if they pray at 7:10, it's really at the end of subuh. At 7:10, counted or not? Counted. Because you can get 2 rak'ats into 10 minutes. And you can, or 5 minutes, because it's 7:59. You can get 2 rak'ats in 5 minutes, then can lah, sah lah. But it is makruh to do that. Okay, it's haram once the sun begins to rise. It's haram. But do you still pray if you have not prayed? Yes, you still pray. The haram was in the delay. The haram is not in the prayer. The haram is in the delay. That you delayed it to that point in time. That's why it's haram. So yes, you still pray. You pray right through the sunrise if you have to. If you wake up late and the sun is rising, just pray. Just pray. Don't wait until the sun has risen, then you pray. But just pray immediately. When it comes to qada prayers, ASAP is the ruling. As soon as you can, you do the qada, regardless of the sun. And regardless of situation, as soon as you can, you do the qada. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Alright, so the offensive and then the offensive period of Maghrib, which is ila humrati summa karaha. Karaha meaning that just enough time to perform the subuh prayer. Just so it's probably at 7:10 lah. Just enough time to get into rak'ats. It is offensive. ويكره تسمية المغرب عشاء والعشاء عطمة. It is offensive to call Maghrib Isha. The thing about it is that the Arabs, they used to do that. They will call Maghrib Isha. And they will call Isha Atama. So he just mentioning this, don't do that lah. So for us, we don't even know this thing existed. So we call Maghrib call Isha. But they used to just call Maghrib Isha as well. Because Isha just means night. So when I say Asha, Asha in Arabic, it means dinner. Asha is a hadith. إذا حضر العشاء والعشاء فقدم العشاء على العشاء. It sounds like a tongue twister. When dinner and Isha come together, then take the dinner before performing the Isha. That is the hadith. إذا حضر العشاء والعشاء فقدم العشاء على العشاء. So if Isha and Asha come, if dinner and Isha comes, then to eat dinner first and then perform the Isha. So you will not be distracted by the dinner. And you don't take a prayer, you want to go and eat. So eat first better, get it out of the way. Then from your prayer, not with a full stomach, right, but with a tranquil heart, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And it's offensive. So self-conscious today. It is offensive. So my hair all come out already. Bismillah. To get my hair stay inside. Okay. It is offensive to keep before. It is offensive to sleep before performing the Isha and talking after Isha prayer, except in matters of greatest importance. All right. So all the late night movies and all all the prime time show or whatever. So makruh or not haram to do it after Isha. Right. Isha is a time where you prepare yourself, you prepare your soul to die. Right? Because sleep is death. Right? So if you understand that you're going to die, you will not be like going on YouTube and surf, watch all kinds of nonsense on YouTube, and then fall asleep watching don't know what nonsense right, on YouTube. Right? This is what we, guard against that lah. Your Isha. The most you should do is do your wirid, do your Quran, do your zikir. Right? If you're still unable to sleep, then put on a class, listen to a class, and then you can fall asleep, inshallah, right, in doing that. Right? So, but try not to be involved with the dunya after Isha. Right? So, whatever of the dunya lah. Okay? So, offensive to sleep before Isha. Right? So, even if someone to say, but if I don't sleep before Isha, if I sleep first, then higher chance I'll wake up for tahajjud. I have to wake up for Isha for myself. Right? So, it's still makruh. It's still better that you actually pray Isha early. Okay, it's more virtuous that you pray Isha early and you actually miss the Tahajjud. It's more virtuous, Right, so you actually have to wait. It's more, like, I thought it was a hack. I could just do the Isha later on, then make sure I pray Tahajjud. No, inshallah. No, and it's actually, it's more virtuous. The praying of the prayer early in its time is the most virtuous action to do above everything else. To pray prayer early in its time in the waqtul fadilah is the most virtuous thing that you can do. Right? So more virtuous even praying tahajjud. Right? So get your priority right. The priority is to get Isha early, right, in its timing. Right? And then dua, like, and put a lot of alarm clocks to get yourself up for tahajjud. Put the alarm clock far from your bed so you cannot go there and put it off. Like, put it far away, and then you annoy the entire house. And my husband be like, you love your alarm clock, then I have to get up and get your alarm clock. You annoy your whole room, or your sisters, everything annoyed by your alarm clock. MashaAllah. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Right, with regards to witir, one commentary here. With regards to witir, you can actually perform witir for as long as you have not performed subuh. The time for witir is actually until you perform subuh. So technically, we don't make it a habit, right? Technically, if you were to wake up at 6 o'clock, that's subuh kan? And it's your habit to pray witir. But this time around, you can kind of like slept through and you can wake up at 6 o'clock. You can actually pray your witir. Pray 3 rakats witir. You can. And then you pray your subuh. And for as long as you've not prayed subuh, I'm giving you all like a free ticket. Right? But it's a fikir. As long as you have not prayed subuh, you can pray witir. As long as you have not prayed subuh. Right? So if it's your habit lah, like, don't like make it, if it's your habit to pray witir, but don't make it habitual to pray witir during subuh. Don't make it habitual. But if one time it happened, and then you woke up and you were late for witir, right, or you didn't pray witir before you slept, and you left it to the night, and that particular night you didn't wake up before the azan of subuh, you can pray witir. And you can pray how many rakats is your norm, in fact. Right, so as long as you don't miss subuh lah, right? So how many rakats is your norm without you missing subuh. Right, so you can pray 3 rakats if you want, right, of witir, and then pray your subuh if you would like. If your jama'ah wants to wait for you, and wait like faster lah, you can pray subuh. Alhamdulillah. Okay, na'am. Right, it is the most virtuous of all worship is praying at the start of his prayer. Just mentioned there. Right, the most virtuous of all worship, beating everything else, right, is to pray salat at the beginning of its period. Alright, so so this can be achieved when one visits himself with various means to pray when the time of the prayer has entered. Right? So basically, at the point in time when the prayer has ended, whereby you busy yourself with the with what it takes for you to go and perform the prayer. And we have mentioned before that the first part of the timing, you get the ridwan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The middle is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the end, it is the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, but there are some clauses, or some exceptions some exceptions to the rule, where with the situation, zuhur. There is a situation whereby it is in fact recommended or sunnah to delay the zuhur prayer, but on condition. Right? So zuhur, but not the Friday prayer. Okay, zuhur, but not Friday prayer. What are the conditions? First and foremost, it is in congregation, right, at the masjid. Okay, congregation at the masjid, right? It is very hot, and it is very hot in a hot country. Very hot in a hot country, the zuhur at the masjid. Okay, so the imam at the masjid, who's already at the masjid, right, it is sunnah for him to delay the zuhur prayers so as to allow for people to come to the masjid and have some shade to walk in. Right, so if in Singapore it doesn't happen, our country is not counted as a hot country. Okay, you count it as a hot country. It is very hot right now, right? But it is not counted as a hot country. We're not a desert climate, right? So we're kind of humid, right, but not hot. If you've been to Tarim, right, in midday, the heat gives you a headache. Right? It's like really, it's kind of like desert heat. You go out for 5 minutes, you come back, you are exhausted. You lie down because of how severe the heat is. Right? The heat in Tarim can go up to 40, 50 degrees. In the summer, very teruk the heat, mashallah. And when you go out, you will find that even the goats, animals, nobody walks on the ground. It's so hot. You find the goats all squeezing by some building, trying to get some shadow, right, some shade from the building. They all squeeze in a line around the building because it's so hot. It's so incredibly hot. Right, so that kind of situation, right? So Zuhur is just at Zawal. Right, last week we spoke about it. Zuhur is at Zawal. So it just went past the istiwa. When it was in its zenith, it just went past. So the shadow is hardly anything. If you're in a hot country, the shadow is literally it's a few inches of shadow. So there's nothing to walk in. So it is sunnah for the imam at the masjid to actually delay the zuhur until the shadow is significant, right, for people to be able to walk in the shade to get to the masjid to pray zuhur. Okay, the conditions there, masjid, congregation, super hot country, super hot time. Okay, that is when it's sunnah for you to delay zuhur. So you can't be at home. It's sunnah to delay zuhur, and then your mother say, pray zuhur now. So hot. We're at home. It's so hot. We can pray at 3 o'clock. It's sunnah to delay zuhur. No, inshallah. And it's a complete misunderstanding of the hukum. And the hukum is enough for the shadow to be wide enough for people to walk in. And that's the whole point, to allow for people to get to the masjid without getting a heat stroke. And I'm serious, I'm joking. I'm serious. To get people get to the masjid without getting a heat stroke, because of the heat of the kind of climate. MashaAllah. Or a known congregation. Right, so if there's no masjid and you know that a particular house has congregation, and the person in the house knows people come to the house for the jama'ah, then they can wait for the jama'ah to come. But usually it's only in the masjid, where you know that it's jama'ah, unless you know. And so for example, in Darul Zahra, right? So Darul Zahra knows that there are women who come in to pray Zuhur. So if they want to wait, there is a sunnah of them waiting. They can wait until past the Zuhur, about maybe 20-30 minutes after Zuhur. The shadow is significant for women to come to Darul Zahra and then to pray in Darul Zahra as congregation, because there is jama'ah there. Okay. Na'am. Okay, so there is the sunnah there is only time whereby it is sunnah for you to delay the prayer. Right, so the Zuhur, for someone who wants to pray in congregation, where the prayer is performed in a location far away, those shadows are present during his journey. Right, there is some distance between him and and the place whereby Zuhur is being conducted. And for the one who said that he can find a cover, also other times whereby you can delay the prayer, is that if you were to pray early, just a general ruling, if you were to pray early in the time, you would be praying with deficiency. So obviously, if early in the time you pray with deficiency, then obviously you should wait lah. Right? If you know that towards the end of the time you have enough to cover yourself, right? Or you have enough water to take wudu, or you would know the qiblat, right? Or for example, right? So for example, if somebody is, this is something that we need to really emphasize lah. Sometimes, I see people, they come and mashallah, they want to be, they're on the path, they want to be more religious, right? They come people's houses and they just pray by themselves. They're not waiting for any jama'ah, nothing. Right? Just go there and they put sajadah and they just pray Zuhur. And I'm like, are we praying jama'ah together? Like, why? That it is just a lack of I guess emphasis on the importance of jama'ah. Mashallah. Right? So because they want to pray the prayer early. They would rather pray it early and alone than to pray it a bit later with jama'ah. Right? Whereas if you were ready from the early stage, from the early time, and you don't pray and you wait for the jama'ah, you're in prayer until the jama'ah comes. You're actually in prayer. So why not? Just wait for the jama'ah, inshallah. Right? So if so again, if someone were to be deficient in the conditions of the prayer, in whatever they are, whether it's tahara or you're covering your awrat or facing the qibla, whatever it is, if there's some deficiency in your prayer, right, and you know towards the end of the prayer you can actually remove the deficiency, then it is on you, in fact, to wait till you can remove it. Right? So there's a story of a family whereby they were so poor they only had one prayer garment, right, for all the girls in the house. There are a few sisters in the house, all of them only one prayer garment. So they would actually take turns praying, right, because of the inability to pray together because of one prayer garment. Right? So but that is the hukum lah. So the hukum is that they, every day they will take turns who prays first, then who prays second, who prays fourth, and the following day rotate again. And the following day rotate again, and the following day rotate again. And then they will pass their prayer garment from one to another. Mashallah. The poverty of people, mashallah. Okay, right. So if you know that you can cover yourself to the end of the prayer time, as for the one who is certain he's able to pray congregation at the end of the prayer time, then you should wait for jama'ah. The ruling is here. Many people ask the question, should I wait, should I not wait? Answers right here. Yes, wait. Wait for the jama'ah. At the same time, for the one who is sure of getting praying congregation and not having to wait too long for the prayer to end, close to the end of the prayer time. Right? So the one who is, so there is a bit of difference between certain and being sure. You see that? Right? So وَلِمَنْ تَيَقَّنَ with yaqeen الْجَمَاعَةَ آخِرَهُ. Has yaqeen, got jama'ah at the end. The other one is وَكَذَا لَوْ ظَنَّهَا. He thinks. So the first situation is he knows there is jama'ah. Second one is he thinks. He's assuming there is jama'ah. Right? So like for example, if I'm teaching at home, like last week, I was teaching at home, my husband came to the masjid to teach. Right? So I'm not sure if he will pray Zuhur here or not. So usually he does pray Zuhur here. Right? So I was thinking, at 1 o'clock, I was thinking, should I prepare for Zuhur? Should I wait for him to come back? What should I do? So Azan 1:20 kan, Zuhur 1:20. So I was thinking to myself, 1:30 is a lot back. Because if he's not gonna pray here, he's usually back by 1:30. So that I know for sure he was not gonna pray at home. He will pray at the masjid. He didn't tell me anything. Right? So I went to pray my mother lah. Hi jama'ah. Right? So I said my mother, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. So I can pray early in the time. If he came back at 1:50 and then he has not prayed Zuhur, but he usually has prayed Zuhur lah, and he come and he's not prayed Zuhur, and I didn't wait for him, right? What I can do is pray again, for him to get jama'ah. But at that point in time, like, was it sunnah for me to wait for him to come back? No, it's not sunnah because I'm not sure if I will get jama'ah with him. I'm not sure. My mother, my sister is praying right now at 1:20. At the beginning of the time, so do I pray jama'ah with them or not? So I don't know. If I don't pray with them, I might not have jama'ah. Because he might have prayed with the masjid, which he did. Right? So at that point in time, I'm not sure. It's zon. It's a zon about myself that I don't know. forget Jama'ah. If I know for sure that he was working and he's going to come back by 5 o'clock, confirm he will not pray at his workplace. And I know that he will never pray at his workplace. He will always come home to pray. So then I can wait until 5:30, even 6 o'clock to get asar with him. Possible. So between yaqeen and zon. Yaqeen and zon. Right, so وَكَذَا لَوْ ظَنَّهَا وَلَمْ يَفْحُشِ الْتَأْخِيرِ. Right, so not to wait. Okay, if you suppose it or you assume it, but it's not so long the wait. You can wait if you want to, but at the same time, don't risk missing Jama'ah altogether. So if you're going to risk it, then you just go and pray with another Jama'ah. Okay. And for cloudy weather, وَلِلْغَيْمِ حَتَّى يَتَيَقَّنَ الْوَقْتَ أو يخاف الفوات. So you can delay the prayer because of cloudy weather, because you're unable to tell the time of the prayer. Not because it's cloudy, right? But because you can't see the sun. Okay, so you can't see the sun, you can't tell it is Zuhur or Asr, there's no shadow. So in our situation, we look at our clock, our watch. Then you see Zuhur already. Right, so for us, this cloud condition is not relevant in our situation, because no one actually looks at the cloud and see, can I see Zuhur or not? Mashallah. Right, so but in the past, and when they used to see the shadow, right, then when the shadow is when the shadow stretches to the Zuhur part, then you can tell Zuhur. So if it's all cloudy, you can't tell anything if it's all cloudy. Right? So same thing with Maghrib. The day I was mentioning, I left my phone in my room. And I was like, I don't know, I have no radio anywhere else in the house. My house has no radio. Only has the radio in the phone. So when I was in the room, I was thinking, how to buka puasa ni? Then I look at the clock, the clock. It says 7:22, but you don't trust the clock, right? For buka, you never trust the clock. You always say, I don't know the clock is correct or not. Right, the clock should be fast. You don't know, you look at your watch, it says 7:23. Then you're thinking, do I trust my watch? I don't trust my watch. We only trust Warna. We don't trust our clock, we don't trust our watch, trust Warna. Warna says Azan, it means it's Azan. Right, so I was like, alamak, go and get my phone and look at the sky. Completely overcast. No way you could tell that it's Maghrib at all. But it was bright lah. So no choice, I go and get the phone now, go and hear our Warna, and Warna dah hafiz Azan dah. MashaAllah. Then Warna go yakin For some reason, I was yakin it's Warna. Whatever Warna says is correct. It's the Azan. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. My brother is convinced that you have to wait 5 minutes after Warna. He's convinced. I don't know why he's convinced, but he's convinced that you must have 5 minutes, because the west of Singapore is the idea. The west of Singapore sees the sunset before the east of Singapore. And I said, how do you know Warna is on the west? Warna's in the east. How do you know? I said, no, it's true. Allah Alam. But basically, until you have yaqeen, either the prayer time has come in. He will not buka. He will wait for 5 minutes. Then he buka. Because his yaqeen is there. Because Warna's on the west of Singapore. Or Warna calculates with the west of Singapore. Allah Alam lah apa entah Warna ikut Muiz saja. Warna's not even, we don't talk anything. Just follow Muiz punya schedule. And they probably follow their own clock. Probably, right? But inshallah, usually whenever there's the muazzin will always wait. Then they perform the azan. They have to have yaqeen first. So azans are usually, and in fact it has to be after the coming of the prayer time. So if you're at the masjid, because the muazzin must be very sure before he can azan. MashaAllah. Okay, we finish the chapter, then we'll stop there for today. Whoever is able to perform one cycle of the prayer in the prayer time, the prayer is considered to be performed in the spirit adaan, but haram. Okay, haram. It's considered as adaan or qadaan, but haram to do that. Right? Because it is haram once you pray and you don't have enough time to finish the prayer in its time. But it's counted as adaan. It's not qada, it's ada. But haram on you to have done that. But the prayer is counted anyway. Right? If not, the prayer is counted as a qada. It makes no difference because your niyat doesn't have to be qada or ada. The one there. It is prohibited to delay the prayer for no reason such that part of the prayer is outside its timing. We just mentioned that. So if even part of the prayer is outside its timing, even the salams outside the timing, haram if you did it without any good reason. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay, inshallah next week we'll continue from there. Right, ijtihad fil waqt. Right, how do I figure out the prayer timing? And last year I went through with you all kan, Rizafina. Like on the aeroplane, how do you figure out prayer timing? All this, all I hope is useful knowledge. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.